You're tuned in to a GrownFolks production.
In the mix
With the commish, Nate.
That was way quicker than I expected it to be. Good morning. Welcome to GrownFolks Live. I hope that you are all doing well. Hope you've got some coffee. Maybe you're sitting down at work. Maybe you're on the drive to work. Maybe you're enjoying a day off. Either way, thank you for joining me this morning for a little GrownFolks Live. There is a ton of stuff for us to jump into. It looks like my computer's having a tough time this morning. Don't know why. It should kind of catch itself up here. So I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me. We're going to talk about a couple of the updates that are out there. PUBG just dropped a new update about some things that are going to be coming out about PUBG. There's some buffing of the guns. Of course, PUBG is kind of experiencing a bit of an explosion with all of the free-to-play and the new player base that is joining. Battlefield 2042 is falling off a cliff really bad. You thought Madden was bad. Go check out Battlefield 2042. And then some brand new news that we're going to hear a ton about today, and that is Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 that a lot of people are really excited about. So I can't wait to kind of see how this goes. Let me see if I can make some changes here. We're going to make that go away. We're going to make this go away. There we go. hopefully that will do the trick. So let's get over here and bring in the battlefield information. I think that we'll start with the worst first, and we'll kind of work our way backwards from there. Battlefield 2042, it had tons of potential. People were really, really excited about this game. I know that I bought into the hype, and we did a big giveaway here, right? We did some giveaways to give the game away, to give some codes away, and we were really excited about the potential that game had, and it did not live up to kind of any of the potential. So why is kind of the big question. Like, what has caused that to happen is kind of the big unknown. Let me see if I can get this to come up here. And so what I got up here is a petition signing. Let me interact with you. Let's try this. Let's do a little refresh. There we go. This is when I wish I had somebody that could sit here and do this with me. All right. For some reason, it doesn't want to pull up, so we're just going to make it a little bit bigger, and I'll interact with it this way. So a petition started a while back, well, I guess not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, to petition EA to give everyone back their money. And the game is not in a good place. If you just YouTube Battlefield 2042, Twitter Battlefield 2042, you'll see that creators who make their living creating content around this game are leaving the game in droves. There's almost 200 signings on this petition. There are well over 150,000 signings, which is just crazy that this many people are this upset at the game, knowing, in my opinion, that a lot of the people who buy the games are casual gamers. They're not going to be on Twitter or YouTube. They're just, young kids, people who buy this game, who just throw it in from time to time. But some people just walked away from this game in droves from all of its problems, hit markers not showing up. Whenever there were these big clusters of battles, things would not work the way they were supposed to work. Frame drops, like all kinds of just craziness that happened in this game, and people just aren't enjoying it. There was the modes where there were 100 people on the map, and it was just craziness, and so they had to reintroduce the old mode of just 64. And so now that you have kind of both of those options, their new take on a battle royale where you were dropped into a map with like 5 other teams. Your job was to either go fight each other, fight AI, and pick up these discs and get on these 2 different extraction planes that would show up at 2 different times in the game. Totally flopped. You can't hardly find a real game with humans to play that game anymore. And it's just kind of sad because the game is beautiful. It has a history of being just an outstanding game with all of the physics and the things they do with buildings that can be destroyed and the environment changing throughout. There was the big thing about the rocket that in the one map that takes off, a tornado that comes through in the other maps. And it felt like it had a lot of opportunities to be one of the better games out there. And it is just completely flopped on its head. And now we've got over 150,000 people that have signed this petition. I think once it hits 200,000, it's going to get promoted to the very top of this page, and who knows where it's going to go after that. And will EA do anything? I don't know. Some of me says that they're not going to do a whole lot. These companies usually don't waver, and but they're going to have to do something to kind of save this franchise. And they don't put out a game, if I remember correctly. They don't put out a game every year. They go multiple years in between games. And I feel like they had pieces from both 2042 and Battlefield 5. I think it was 5. There were pieces for both of those games that worked really well. Their Firestorm, which was their Battle Royale mode in Battlefield 5, was a ton of fun. It just was the old like World War II guns and mode, and so that's what made it lose some of its luster. But it was a fun mode. The idea of a fire is what pushed you, was just a great take on it. The map was beautiful. It worked. The guns worked. Like, it was a fun mode, but everybody's kind of moved to 2042. I don't think people are going to be coming back, and that's another game that just feels really dead right now. Let's talk PUBG. Let's see if it'll interact this time. It is not. I don't know why this just is refusing to interact this morning, but Battlefield, not Battlefield, I'm still in Battlefield mode. PUBG came out with some notes for their 16.1 update. I'm going to try to do this one more time. Oh, there it goes. At least let me do that. So this is a brand new update. Of course, PUBG went free to play early January. I think it's been one of the top 3 or 5 games on Steam, and so a lot of people are jumping back into it. If you don't know what Steam is, it's the online platform that a lot of PC gamers use, and so it's introduced a brand new base to the game, which it really, really needed. And they've started to kind of lay out a little bit of a roadmap about where we're going for PUBG, which has been one of the biggest complaints for the community, is they just don't lay out things really well. They don't communicate really well with the community. And that's something that I'm really learning a lot over the last couple months, is that like these communities are passionate, right? I'm really entrenched into the Madden community, and I know those complaints around how people are communicated with and where communication flows. And this is something PUBG has also struggled with, like a lot of companies struggle with. But they went free to play. They introduced a couple of new modes. There's been hints that there's going to be a graphical update, which I know is terribly needed. That's probably one of the bigger turnoffs of this game, mainly because, listen, the game is hard. It is, the skill gap in PUBG is pretty wide at times. And so when you're brand new to the game and you're playing with veterans, or you're playing with people that have been playing the game for the last, on PlayStation, 3 or 4 years, it's a big learning curve. Now they've added in some new things to help lessen that learning curve and help people understand how the game works and the mechanics of the game, but it's still a pretty deep learning curve. And because of that, people stop playing it, right? The learning curve is hard. The graphics are not great at all. It's PlayStation 2 or 3 graphics. Like, they're not great. The game's really hard. The mechanics are not easy to learn. And because it's a battle royale, there's no like respawn mode, even though there is a team mode, the team deathmatch mode that you can go get that practice in. In the normal battle royale modes, there's not that. And so it's like you're constantly spending, when you're new to this game, you're spending most of your time watching your clan play, or you're spending your time like reloading into a new game. And so it just makes it tough for new players to stay. And so they've been doing some things that kind of keep the interest and keep new players engaged in the game. And one of the things that they just came out with are some the updates, which is a pretty small update. Those are going to be a buff for those of us who play the game for the M416. It's one of the guns that you see a lot. Early in the game, it was one of the better guns in the game, and then it got buffed. It was too strong, and now we're seeing that it's getting a bump back to where it used to be. And so it's going to be one of the best games, especially when it comes to, the middle quarters. Like when you're in middle range, it's going to be one of those really powerful guns. It's pretty easy to control when you have a vertical grip on it. You can put a 3 times, a 6 times on it, something like that, and be able to get people from a good range. It can go fully automatic. You can go single tap on it. So it has a lot of versatility. And I think when this buff comes, it's going to be even with one of the more popular guns right now, the barrel. And there's this the barrel can be a bit of a trigger word for some of the guys in our clan, because there's some cheaters per se that use the barrel with a 6-time scope to just slay people with very little recoil. I think one of the guys we were watching the other day is actually just really good. Now, maybe he's using a Cronus or something to kind of control that recoil. But there's some recoil, but he was definitely controlling it. But this is now going to put the M416 right back on par, if not better, than the barrel in a lot of ways. And there's a ton of videos out there. I think Wacky Jackie is probably one of my favorite to watch. He just puts out really great information. He's one of the best PUBG players in the world. And so you can go check out his stuff. But he talks about bullet velocity. And that's one thing I learned too, is that PUBG doesn't do trade-off kills for bullets. And so if you and someone shoot each other at the same time, but your bullet hits them and kills them first, it cancels the damage from their bullet. That's something that I wish was probably a little bit different. I think a trade-off would be a neat thing to see, and I don't know, there's probably a really good reason for that that's way over my head. But the M416 is now going to have a quicker bullet velocity than the barrel, than some of the other guns, and so it's going to get that buff, and it's going to be one of the better guns out there. And you're probably going to see a lot of people picking that gun up. There were also talks of a couple of other guns that they felt were too strong, but PUBG was still needing to collect data before they kind of dumbed down those guns a little bit. The other gun was a gun, the MK12. I think I got that right. I can barely see it on my little screen here, but the MK12 is a gun that was just specifically on the new map Tango. It's now going to go to all of the maps. It's a powerful DMR. I think it's considered a DMR. I'm pretty sure it's a DMR that a lot of people really like, because if you go prone with it, it has a bipod on it, and it's like a laser. You can really hit people. The problem is you got to be really comfortable with going prone really quick. It's a single fire gun, and so you got to be quick on the tap, and you got to be, have cover to be able to stand up and get out of there if you want. And that's not a great gun if you're just trying to walk around with it, if you're trying to squat with it. Like, it's just not a very good gun because it's really hard to control, but it is an awesome gun that if you want to lay down and go prone. And I think it's getting a bit of a buff. It's also going to be put on all of the maps. We've got some of the old maps returning. Vikendi. I always get these maps wrong. I'm terrible with the PUBG maps, but the snow map is going away. We're getting the little desert map back. And my guy Pooty is probably just laughing at me at all of these maps I keep getting wrong. So there was a couple of other small tweaks around vehicle spawns, especially in ranked games. I don't play ranked anymore. Some minor tweaks to a couple of maps that are going to be taking place. And Season 16 is right around the corner. So PUBG with a lot of new updates. You've seen Pooty and Low and the PUBG guys in the main chat the other day talking about PUBG. So if you haven't given it an opportunity, I encourage you to check it out. It's free to play. Worst case, it isn't your cup of tea, and no harm, no foul. You delete it and you move on, and it's not that big of a deal. But it is worth checking out. We have a really big group that plays that almost every single night. And I didn't see anybody last night. I logged in to play and there was nobody around, but maybe I just came on too late. But there's usually a really big group that play that. There's a big elite group that plays mainly ranked. And so if you want to get very, very serious and play with the kind of upper echelon and third person view, there's a big group that does that. There's a big group of us that play first person only, regular matches. So there's kind of pick your own style. I know there's a lot of new guys who are just kind of dipping their foot in the water. It's definitely worth checking out. So come check out PUBG. Do us a favor, hit the like button, close the chat. We're not getting a lot of chat activity, but I didn't know what to expect. This wasn't really advertised. It's just something I wanted to try to do. It's a Friday morning. Probably people are driving to work. People are at work. And so probably not going to be a ton of people that can chat. But do us a favor, close the chat, hit the like button. It helps us with YouTube. If you're checking us out, if somehow you've stumbled upon us, Grown Folks is a community of online adult gamers. If you're tired of playing with randos, you're tired of playing with angry kids, you're tired of playing with people with no mics, you want to make some friends, meet some new people, and play the games that you love, Grown Folks Online Community might be the place for you. Check out Grown Folks OC. The OC stands for Online Community. Grown Folks was not available, so we had to get creative. .com. You could check out all the leagues, clans, different things that we have here at Grown Folks. And at the end of the day, if you play it, I'm sure we've got a group of people that play it as well. And so come check us out. I think that you'll enjoy the people around here. Let's talk Call of Duty 2. So today, we're going to probably see an explosion of content and information dropping about Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2. Good morning, Kev. Good to see you, Kev. Are we going down to Miami today? Where are we going? Let me get off of this. What am I doing? Here we go. Where are we at today, Kev? What are we doing today? Are we going down to Miami? I didn't see anybody on last night, by the way, but I appreciate you hopping in. Appreciate you hopping in the chat and hanging out with me. I think I just realized what was causing a bit of my issue here. Let me do this. Boom. Boom. Come back over here. Is that going to fix it? Nah, but it's okay. We got it good enough. Yeah. Kev is one of our PUBGers, hardcore member of the OMFL, and just overall really good dude. He hates going down to Miami. He lives in Florida, and sometimes work takes him down to Miami. Probably shouldn't be sharing all that, right, Kev? Okay, I'll shut up. All right, let's move on. Call of Duty 2 is going to be dropping this year. Modern Warfare 2, I shouldn't say Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. And what's funny is that people are hating the new Call of Duty map. They're hating kind of everything about the new Call of Duty. And so the rumor is that it's going so bad that they feel like they've got to close or drop some information. I was trying to close this stupid thing here, and it kind of won't let me. So I'm stuck with this stupid thing. Let me see if I get this stupid thing out of the way. So they're dropping a lot of information. They're raising the embargo on information that's being dropped about the new Call of Duty. Let me see here. Is that going to do it? Did I miss it? There we go. I got it. And they're saying it's because things are so bad with the current Call of Duty, they needed to get people's minds off of how bad things were and start dropping this information. Because usually this stuff doesn't drop until later, maybe in the spring with like some teasers, early or midsummer with some like trailers and things. And then the game comes out later in the fall, winter. But they're dropping this really, really early. And people are pretty excited. I mean, I say people, who knows? We were really excited about Battlefield 2042, and we have almost 200,000 people who signed a petition to get their money back. And so who knows what's going to happen when we actually get this game in our hands. We're far, far away from it. I do think late in 2022 into 2023, we're going to continue to get more and more really good games at our fingertips. But the Modern Warfare 2 release and information drop is going to start today. We're going to start to see some videos. We're probably going to start to see some sketches. Tom Henderson, who's somebody that a lot of us in the like shooter world will follow. He puts out really, really great information. And you can see here, it's a sequel to the Modern Warfare that came out in 2019. and it's going to come with a Warzone 2 that's supposed to have areas on its map that call back to some of the older games, some of the old Modern Warfare games, and it should be really interesting. Now, that's the thing about especially our group here is everybody has pretty radical taste on what they enjoy and the kind of shooters that they enjoy. Some people really like the Call of Duty, which is easier to pick up. The skill gap is a little bit smaller, a lot smaller than like PUBG, but like even smaller than I would say Battlefield 2042 or any of the Battlefield titles. And so it's easier to pick up and play. The graphics are going to be awesome. The gameplay is going to be fast paced. You kind of get in and out really, really quickly. Our group kind of got really turned on to some of the Warfare game, or the Warzone game early on in its drop, but kind of fizzled out, and everybody went right back to Call of Duty. Or everybody went back to PUBG. We kind of do that here. We'll try some of the new games, and then we just end up going right back. We've struggled as a community playing several different games all at once, which is kind of understandable because a lot of guys really like the realism and the gameplay, which is way slower paced. Again, on PUBG, it's a pretty common theme to like loot and run around the map for 25, 35 minutes before you see anybody, and then it gets really intense at the end. Call of Duty, it's going to be faster paced. You're running into people really, really quick, but you're in and out of games really, really fast. And so I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this game. They need to hit it out of the park. And it kind of brings something to the question about Pooty and I talked about on the last GrownFolks Live of like, games often don't get released as like final games. They get released as like live betas that are always kind of a live service and update. And I think the consumers are getting really tired of that. And so these organizations are going to have to start to really figure out how do we start to release a more finished product, a polished product. So we'll see. Call of Duty Modern Warfare should come out on every single platform. It'll be interesting to see what crossplay that we do and don't get, how those things kind of work. PC, and if we look back at I think the current Call of Duty games, you can play console games with PC games if you allow that to happen. I think you could do that on PUBG as well, but it is a different style of game, and the skill gap between even those two players are often a little bit larger. So we'll see. There's the Modern Warfare 2 story and setting. Let's see if they've got some things about gameplay. I think we're going to get a lot more today. There's probably already some stuff on Twitter. I don't feel like pulling up Twitter on this thing, but and here's the Warzone integration. So after a messy integration of Black Ops Cold War, which people are saying, rumors, or that's what's really messed up Warzone, was that integration with Black Ops Cold War. They're saying that Warzone 2 was built from the ground up. Who knows? We got to get our hands on the game. A lot of creators who have the inside information are pretty excited about it. Though we can look here, it says it's going to debut a new map, stitching together many of its multiplayer maps to create a big coherent map, much of the same way that Vandersky was crafted. It's great news for anyone who found 18-month stay in Warzone, the first map, a little boring. So we're going to get a new map that's going to have areas of the older maps. Supposedly, they've worked really hard to kind of integrate those. I'm not a dev. I'd love to learn more about like how these things really work together. It feels like we're far, far off from the game being released. And so how that's going to work together will be really interesting. Like how far is this finished and how much tweaking is kind of left to happen. All right, I think it's going to bring us to our show. Thanks, Kev, for coming hanging out with me. I want to start doing these more often. I'm really going to try to take it up a couple of notches with our content creation as my internet, for random reason, decides to dump on itself. Madden did have an update, but nothing really there to talk about, nothing really there to get too excited about. And it looks like my internet has completely crapped itself. So let's get out of here. Guys, have a great rest of your Friday. Know that you matter. I love you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on the other side.